Hi, I'm Kent. Let's glaze my large Lego pots. A while ago, I showed making the mold for this pot here. Since then, I've had a chance to go ahead and slip cast several of them and bisque fire them. So now it's time to glaze them. As you can see, I made a handful of them. I think I'm going to go ahead and put different glazes on each of these. I'm mostly picking my glazes here by quantity of glaze I have so I can facilitate the application process since this is a relatively large pot, or at least large for me. So I think I'm going to start with the ones that I can potentially dip, and then I may have to wind up pouring or brushing on a few. Let's go ahead and get set up. The glaze I have the most of is a floating cobalt with some titanium in it. It fires into a nice bluish color. It's been quite a while since I used this, so I'm going to need to mix it really well. Look, very thick. Definitely thixotropic. Once I get it stirred around though, it should loosen up. There it goes. Give that a good stir by hand. Now I'll use my immersion blender, of which this is the head for. That is nice and loosened up and mixed up. All right, this one I think I have enough to dip. However, I don't want to glaze the foot. A trick I'd seen before is to actually apply tape to the bottom here, so I'm going to try that. So I got some blue painter's tape here. All right, went ahead and taped that off so we can go ahead and give it a dip. It may not be perfect, but it's probably gonna be easier than sponging it clean. Let's go ahead and dip it. Do halfway or so. And then dip the top half. Definitely catching some bubbles in the corners here. This glaze is a little bit on the thick side, so we'll see how that goes. Next up is a commercial matte glaze that I have. This is a really cool glaze. Last time I used it. However, I also put on a little too thick last time, so I think I'm going to brush it this time. This one fires green. So I've got another pot here and a bigger brush. Let's go ahead and brush it on. All right, there's one coat. I'll let this dry for a minute and do a second. I really like this glaze, so let's go ahead and do another one. And there's the second one. All right, done with that one. I think last up, I'm gonna do the same one with my matte blue glaze. And this is gonna look exactly the same, so I'll just speed through it. And second coat for both. All right, there we go. That's coat number 2. All right, I'm going to let those go ahead and dry out. I will go ahead and clean the glaze and put them into the glaze firing. The glaze firing finished and the pots are now cool. Let's check them out. I only had space for 5 of these. These are a little bit bigger than some of my other pots. In particular, they're taller. So I had to stack up the kiln furniture to create enough height, which meant I could get fewer pots into my kiln. First is this cobalt pot. So this is a floating cobalt, and I think it turned out pretty well. It's really interesting. You can see the glaze kind of flow down over the steps here and kind of smooth them out, and it broke along the edges. There are a few spots that didn't get glazed. There's this one on the top, and on the bottom there are a few more. So I think what happened is when the glaze went on, the surface tension prevented it from getting into the corners here. So that's something I'll have to look out for in the future, see if I can get those corners a little bit better. But for a relatively complex shape, I think that was a good first attempt. And then the others are a commercial glaze that I brushed on. Last time I put this glaze on, I put it on too thick and it wound up running and damaging some pots. So I was being conscious of that. I think it could have gone on a little bit thicker, but I didn't have the problem of it getting into the corner since I was able to brush it on. I think this one worked out a little bit better. This one I think it got a little bit thicker. So this is a very cool glaze. I really like it. And these two here hanging in the back are basically the same thing. So there we have it. After quite an adventure of trying to build this mold and slip cast these pots, I have some finished ones. I'm looking forward to making some more and glazing those as well. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Thanks.